before jazz education became as organized as it is now, it was you were left up to your own to either hang out with these people or play with these great players or get it off of recordings, records. So before it really took root, jazz education, there were a couple players, great players, legendary players that were sort of like the teachers. Yeah, they were the teachers, and they would talk about it and help explain it as best they could. And there were some great moments where if you were ready as a student and you listened to what they had to say and you were ready to get the information, it was great. It was great. And one of these people that were just great at it was Clark Terry. And Clark was great. Just Google him. There's some trumpet players, Dizzy, Maynard. Some of them consider Clark to be the greatest trumpet player ever as far as chops and technique and what he could do with the horn. And Maynard just absolutely loved him to death. Dizzy said he was probably the best physical trumpet player, and you just have to listen to him to check it out. But we heard him as a kid. We would go see his band when we were in college. We heard his big bad band, a lot of blues charts, a lot of I Got Rhythm. So plus Clark was fun. He was just drop dead fun. He'd goof around. You could see he was having fun. He would mumble and he would scat. He'd play two horns back and forth. He was just play upside down. And he would goof around, but when he goofed around, what he played was so great that it's like the goofing around elevated the trumpet playing, and the trumpet playing elevated the goofing around, and you realize you could be unbelievable on this instrument and have fun in public. Oh my God, go figure that. Because some people play and they get real serious and real, and other people just have a great time. Clark was just unabashedly cheerful. So had a couple opportunities to witness his teaching, and that's the good story here, to have somebody play that great and how he would give it away, but how he gave away the information in his own way. So I had a quartet that was playing every year. We played these festivals, and the promoter would always bring in some big name and say, hey, look, would you play with this person? And we did it a couple times in a couple different festivals. So I would get hired with my quartet, piano, bass, and drums, and then a guest would be Slide Hampton or Bob Mentzer or Randy Brecker or Clark Terry or Eddie Gomez. And they would just bring in these different people and they would just play with us. So we'd play two sets, called tunes, and play them. So the chance comes to play with Clark Terry, and I'm thinking, this is great. I'm going to be able to do that. How great is that? And I knew Clark liked a lot of Duke Ellington tunes, and he liked a lot of blues things, and I Got Rhythm, and I knew what Clark liked. I didn't know every tune he knew, but I certainly knew the direction. So when we got together and played, it was great. We just walked up on stage, and we just called tunes while we were up there. And boy, he sounded great. And we mumbled back and forth, or he mumbled, and I kind of answered him, and he was all funny. He'd be yelling at me, but going, hang on with your hambo, with your gambo, with your bambo, and I was hang on with your hombo. And it was just, he was great. You have to, if you don't know who Clark Terry is, go to YouTube and type in Clark Terry mumbles. And there are quite a few versions of it up there. And mumbling was something that he did. It was his version of scat singing. So anyway, we played this gig, and now we're finished. And we're packing up. And the people that work the club, they're putting the chairs upside down on the tables. They're cleaning up the floor. It was in a bar, but a big bar. It was a bar, but a big bar. So we, as I'm packing up, because it's my group and we're paying the guys, so I see Clark over by the door ready to leave. He had a valet drove him down, and you could see, if you look outside the door, you could see the guy just leaning against the car, waiting for Clark, leaning against his limo. And Clark was talking to this kid. It's like 1 in the morning, 1:30, 2 in the morning, and here's this kid like 15 years old. And I'm taking care of some business. I see Clark talking, so I already said goodbye to him. You get a big hug and a whole thing. And I'm getting ready to leave, and as I leave, I'm ready to walk by him again because I thought he was going to be gone by then. No, he's talking to this kid. So as I walk by him, I hear Clark telling this kid, he says, now say doodle doodle doodle, doodle doodle doodle. And the kid goes doodle doodle doodle, and Clark says, now there you go. That's doodle tonguing. That's what you have to do. Now if I play ba doodle doodle, and I go doodle doodle doodle, then it comes out like doodle doodle doodle, and you get that bounce you're looking for. So here's Clark talking to this like 15-year-old kid at 1:30 in the morning. Everybody's dying to get out of there, and he's teaching this kid how to doodle tongue, talking to him about doodle tonguing. And I thought, yeah, that's the real stuff right there. So, I don't know, decades go by, and I get asked to conduct an all-state band. I think it was New Jersey. And here's Clark. They hired Clark as the guest. So Clark is going to be the guest now, and I'm going to be conducting this all-state band with Clark as the guest. So that's another great thing. Clark sends out some charts, we rehearse them. All the kids get to experience, playing with Clark in a big band setting, a different setting, but it's good. And we're playing a waltz, okay? So we're doing something at 3/4, and the drummer doesn't quite have it. So Clark turns to the drummer and he says, hey, when you're playing in 3/4, it's not like 4. You got to feel it different. And the kid's like, well, the kid didn't know. He goes, well, what do I do? He's playing 3/4 like this, but doing chock, chock, doing chock, chock, 1, 2, 3. It was real stiff. So Clark says, no, when you play in 3/4, when you play a jazz waltz, you have to think, you parked the car, she parked the car, he parked the car, you parked the car, who parked the car? And the kid's like, oh, okay. And the kid starts going, boom, bop, jagam, boom, bop. Just starts sounding good. Sounds good. And I thought, so, really? You parked the car. You could buy the books. You could look at it. You can analyze it. You could put it on the board. You could do a schematic. You could break it down any way you want. But here's Clark. You parked the car. He parked the car. She parked the car. And they had a lot of things like that. Somebody was playing. We were playing a piece that had a bumped, bam, had that feel to it. Bumped almost like a mambo or something. And band wasn't quite playing it. And I remember Maynard said, no, you play it like babajoo, babajoo, babajoo gam, babajoo, babajoo, babajoo gam. And then once you started to hear that babajoo, babajoo, babajoo gam, you almost couldn't play it wrong. It was great. But you parked the car, he parked the car, she parked the car. There needs to be not even a book, there needs to be a DVD of all that old pre-text way of handing down the lineage of how to interpret this music. Those guys had great analogies and little tricks. It was just great. But Clark Terry, he was such a giver. There's not a player around doesn't love Clark Terry. And if you're a trumpet player, there's a special place for Clark. He's just, and if you're an educator, anyway, Clark Terry, teacher, great. Not even, great's not the word. Better than great.